Okay, we are at are we actually? Nope. Okay. Okay, we are at our workshop, so we're not going to call the meeting to order quite yet. Thanks for joining us, Lewis, wherever you're at, and Sarah, our two on Zoom, and then everybody here. It is the Economic Development Advisory Workshop. We have one member here, very young. Did we invite all the members?
I think everybody else had to work. I talked to the boss and he gave me the night off.
Good. What a nice guy.
Sometimes.
So,
if you'd like, I can kick this off. As you recall, one of our last meetings, we talked about identifying a purpose for the EDAC to give them the specific roles and responsibilities. We needed some board direction. We did have an EDAC meeting a week ago, Monday, I believe it was, or Tuesday of last week, with the EDAC, and we talked a little bit about, we got their points from what they would like to see. The two areas that the EDAC talked about really kind of boiled down to one was parking, as the board mentioned previously, and trying to find some recommendations and solutions for that parking issue downtown. And the second was finding ways to attract customers to Fraser businesses. One of the common threads that we hear in discussions is that the tourists come to Winter Park, there's focus of activity there, walking distance and so forth, and we're not getting a lot of those visitors that are driving this far north, even though we're just right next door. So those were the two areas. Barry, if you wanted to comment on any of that or elaborate on some of that.
I'd be glad to. Now, Katie and I, Debbie, have talked about this. One of the things that I have the opportunity to do is talk to our fellow restaurant owners in Winter Park, and categorically, they all have 30, 60, 90-minute waits, not only on weekends, on weekdays. And we have not seen that. We've almost never had a wait. And we've talked about this at EDAC. We unaffectionately refer to it as the number of people who do not know how to drive past Safeway. And we've finally gotten this incredible critical mass of bars, restaurants, breweries, wineries, distilleries, the yoga coffee shop, and then we're going to have the opportunity to have 5,000 square feet of new retail open up on the old One Love spot. And I think in order to make sure that we position all of this so that A, the existing business owners can do better than they have been doing, and B, we can fill up that 5,000 square feet of retail space, and then hopefully have even more as time goes on to create, the downtown that we want. I think we really need to figure out how to solve this problem. And, we've discussed in EDAC, I've discussed with other business owners, and there are a lot of great ideas out there, but I think time is of the essence. When Debbie and I were trying to decide where to put our business, Debbie was on planning commission, and we lived in Fraser, and we had a connection to the town, to the board, and we really wanted to be in Fraser. But I think if this whole new group of potential business owners are going to be coming in, and if these developers want to rent out 5,000 square feet of space, I think it's incumbent upon us collectively to do everything we can to make it more attractive, because we want those businesses in Fraser. This is what we've been working for years. I think we've got a lot of work ahead of ourselves, and I don't know when the right time to discuss ideas is, but there are a lot of really good ideas. have another EDAC member.
Yay. Glad you made it.
You know, if I was an individual looking to open up a restaurant, a bar, whatever, and had no connection to town of Fraser, I would do certain levels of due diligence. And I would really try and understand what the foot traffic is in Winter Park versus Fraser. And there's a big difference. And we can solve it. We want to solve it. You know, people like the Fishers and us, we're here forever. And we really want to fix it. And we have the patience and ability to work through it. But I think we've got enough critical mass now and this additional space coming in. We really have to generate ideas and implement.
Did you guys look at how many people are using the bus in Winter Park versus here at night?
My guess, it is not where we want it to be. But there's a real, I think it's as much a sales, marketing, communication issue as it is a practical issue like the bus. And I'll be the first to admit, sales and marketing is not my expertise. Number crunching and making whiskey is. But I think we just collectively need to work on this and, you know, hopefully there's some funds available from the town. And, you know, really now's the time to really address this because we've got all these great businesses, the addition of the new brewery. I go by it every night. It seems to be doing well.
Yeah, because you think we'd attract the people that are up in Meadow up and we don't attract them at all. Do we?
I just go,
They get on,
they go to the light and go left.
yep, they get on the bus, go to the light.
Yeah,
Go
I
back
talked to
into
a
Winter
lady who had a
Park.
condo up here for 20 years. She's like, oh, I didn't know this was down here.
I
20 years.
Yeah.
hear this
Yeah.
all the
She goes
time.
into Sharky's.
All the
I can't
time.
believe this. I didn't even know this was here.
Yeah.
Like, and saying like the gas station, the whole part, you know?
Okay. So maybe some directional signs
I think
strategically
signage is-
placed at that intersection.
Should we close that road and make them go down County Road 8 and then have to go through town?
Yeah.
Um,
Radiator Springs.
Might create some CDOT issues, but I'm not expert at it. I think signage is a great idea.
Yeah, because we have the signage at Eisenhower that kind of points you off in a different direction. So we'd often
Those are
talk,
those
those
are
are old.
those are basically useless.
Yeah.
You can't read those going down the highway. I
No.
mean, they're tiny. I mean, whoever
Yeah.
the design.
And we had
is.
talked in the past about redoing those and it just hasn't happened
Need
yet.
something like
So,
in golden, you know, like welcome to
you know,
town Fraser.
The
and
bridge, the pedestrian bridge with the big sign.
Well,
restaurants,
down.
You know, you look at
You know,
Temecula,
the little
California, they did the same
restaurants,
thing.
brewery, winery.
They sectioned off a section that's the old town and it's different than the rest of Temecula. And that's how they made it more attractive, is they made it an event to go there instead of just, you know, when you go there, you feel like you should put on cowboy boots and a hat. You don't realize you're that close to Mexico. Till you get to Temecula. Then you realize you're right there.
So you guys, what you really need from us, because you guys are the ones that are gonna come up with the ideas and you need a budget for us moving forward.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. You know, we had, well, Ed said the purpose of today is discuss our mandate. Our original mandate was to promote new businesses moving into Fraser and to do everything we can to promote the success of existing businesses. So if you want to expand on that, elaborate on that, we'll take it back and work on it. I think, you know, just from the last meeting, and I had the pleasure of having a lot of customers give me their ideas. And there are a lot of great ideas out there. And one other thing, when I was out there doing whatever I was doing outside the other day, I saw a delivery of the picnic tables and chairs to the park. I mean, this is just an enormous resource. And I would like us to collectively, maybe with input from all of the businesses in town and from, shoppers, customers in town. Let's quickly generate ideas what to do with that park. I'll throw out just an idea right now. A lot of you were in this room 5 whatever years ago when 3 groups got up and talked about purchasing the lot that we're in. And the other 2, one was an artist or a group of artists, and one was wanted to build housing. And the artist gave a very beautiful and passionate plea to have a nonprofit art center on that lot. And they were talking about how there just isn't a great way for local artists and craftspeople to sell their stuff without, going to galleries and paying a big commission. So Debbie and I started whispering, and I got up. And again, I remember all this stuff. Can't remember what I did last week, but I remember that meeting. And I said, you know what, we will commit as often as possible to let artists use our barrel room. And for the first year or 2, it was either every weekend or every other weekend we let them use it. Fortunately for us now, the barrel room is filled with customers because we introduced the Sunday brunch, and it just fills up like that. And the good thing about that room is it has room for large groups, young families. So we can only do that now when we close the restaurant down, which we did one just a couple weeks ago, and it was fantastic. So we just can't do that anymore. It's not practical. But the local artists and craftspeople loved it. How do we use the park behind us for that? It's a beautiful spot. It's got that huge concrete pad. Let's generate ideas, and let's not discuss them for months. We need to get things going now. Just by unbelievable coincidence, I've had 2 customers in the last couple of weeks suggest we start a farmer's market back there. And I mentioned that Marisol Donnie, I don't know if any of y'all remember him, he tried to do a farmer's market in the parking lot of Marisol's, which of course now is Wake and Bacon, and didn't do well. And I was telling people this on Sunday, and our customer said, Barry, that was 10 years ago. It's a different world now. We have a lot more locals, the mushroom people, all the beef people, the honey people, and the Palisade Peak people that come every year. There's more people that'll come, and I think customers will like that. So don't think because it wasn't successful 10 years ago, it's not going to be successful now. So that's just a couple ideas. I mean, I think whenever we let artists take over either the barrel room or the whole building, it's fantastic for them and for the town. So I'm sure between all of us, Public Arts Committee, and just talking to the business owners, we can probably generate a lot of ideas. And then we have to, and that now it's getting out of my area of expertise. We need to really figure out how to communicate it. And like Sarah showed us this new website we have. How do we draw people to that website? And it's a good website. It's got all our businesses on it.
So the attracting customers also includes the marketing end of that, and all these idea generations about how we can attract customers and visitors to come visit our local businesses here. I did mention in the EDAC meeting that there was some different funding opportunities that the town may explore. For example, the DDA, I mentioned that to the board, and I'd like to continue having conversations along that way to create funding. But marketing is I don't think we've got money set aside necessarily for marketing for businesses. It's the marketing money that's in Sarah's budget has really been for marketing the town, but I think it's up to the board about whether or not that could be expanded and how will those funds be used.
But why don't you help us understand, what does it mean marketing the town?
Sarah's online. She can probably talk more about what she does as far as marketing for the town.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to leave my video off. I don't look the best right now. Just got out of the pool. But so I spend a lot of money just drawing people to the town of Fraser occasionally. I'll call out a business. If that makes sense to everybody. Like Barry said, we have that Explore Fraser, Colorado, and all the businesses are on there. And like I said, typically I'll call out a business on our social media if there's something going on there, like in our stories. But most of my marketing money goes to drawing people to the town specifically, not to each business.
And I actually totally agree with that.
And outdoor recreation and that kind of thing.
And that's actually in line with what we're saying. We're not asking, all of us have our own social media. We're not suggesting that
Right.
the town try and do something to draw visitors to any specific business. What we're talking about is what you just said. Again, to use your words, drive past Safeway. Or if you're coming down from Meadow Ridge, go right, not just left. So we're totally on the same page. If you draw customers, tourists, whatever, to Fraser, then it's going to draw them to our businesses. So that's exactly what we want to accomplish. And what we, again, I'm going to be redundant. What we want is if somebody is evaluated, I came to the planning commission meeting for the new complex. I can't remember what it's called, but they have the idea of having 2 restaurants on each end with a patio. And, you know, when we started a restaurant, we didn't know what we were doing to put it mildly. But if I were to do one now, I would probably visit different areas and just sit and watch what happens. I would go there and, you know, have a meal or a beer or whatever. Actually a whiskey. But I would sit there and I would look at what the foot traffic is, and then I'd do the same thing in Winter Park. And what we really need, what we want to accomplish very quickly is to get enough foot traffic into the town of Fraser, which is exactly what you're saying your marketing budget is for, so that if someone is in Denver that wants to open up a restaurant, like Lime at the resort is a Denver restaurant. They'll come do their due diligence and they'll say, you know, maybe there aren't quite as many people going to Fraser, but it's good enough. And, you know, I want to be part of creating this critical mass of new businesses. But right now, I really don't think it is. If somewhere to come do due diligence during our busy time, and they do it in Winter Park and Fraser, it's going to be a very different picture.
Do you think we'd be able to capitalize on the Safeway? Because 80% of the people go to Safeway. Used to be 90%, but they said they're down to about 80%. They being whoever put out the last numbers.
So back to parking. At our last board meeting, you know, we were talking about EDAC, and a lot of this also comes down to we'll get them here, but where are they going to park? Is the EDAC willing to take parking on as a project to try to come up with some good proposals?
Absolutely. We've
Okay.
already got a lot of ideas people have given us.
I sent it to Paula, and I don't know if she shared it. I asked her to. There was CML, Colorado Municipal League, has a link to a wonderful session that they did on, it's a webinar link, and it's about 45 minutes. Well, it's actually 1 hour and 6 minutes. I did the quick blast through it, but it was really good. And it talks about a well-managed parking and mobility system in your community, can boost your downtown's activity, attractiveness, and help build a story of success for local businesses. Watch the webinar. And it might be even good for the board members if we shared this, if you had time to take a look. But I think it would be good for EDAC if you chose to take on this, to watch this either individually and then share your thoughts or not, because it'll help get everybody on the same page. It was excellent.
I'd be happy to watch it.
Okay.
Of course, I'll
I
watch
think
it.
parking is a perfect thing for you to do.
But you have parking issues at your place.
Yeah, I have a street that I talked to the former town manager about when I first opened the store. That's quite wide. I've always wanted to have some horizontal or vertical parking right in front of my store. There's plenty of room for it. It would create an additional 3 or 4 parking spots. And then clear up some confusion on the other side. I think markings is a huge part of it. Like you've seen, like when you guys marked on 40, it's great because people realize, oh, that's a parking spot now. It didn't take much for people to all of a sudden visually say that's a parking spot. And so I think things like that, like 5 here, 4 here, all of a sudden you've got a bunch of extra parking spots. And also making it things more clear to people. Like, so the right across from me is the building. It's not clear to people, like, is that the parking spot for the apartment or for the people that own that? Is that, you know, and we have friendly discussions like, could you please not park there? Or, you know, like they're like, please don't put all your employees here because we have a tenant, things like that. But just some clarification on the road would help people realize, you know, that is or that isn't a parking spot.
Yeah.
Things like that.
My tenants start parking horizontal,
I noticed
so they
that,
can get their 5 cars there. You don't know how they got 5
right? I
cars.
noticed that people, and it's, I mean, it's, there's
There's plenty of room.
plenty of
yeah.
room, yeah.
I mean, when it comes down to it, Fraser is more walkable than Winter Park and more appealing to people who want to go and have a couple drinks and walk around. And
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, the post office in Winter Park is just god awful, you know, right there, takes up the whole, it just breaks up the town so much, you know? I mean, ours, everything we have is so close and convenient together to walk to, and just have to get them down here.
With the medians, we made it walkable.
Yeah.
And that was the whole idea,
And
is
it's
to slow
great.
down traffic and
Well,
get people to walk.
There's
So now we just
nobody
gotta get
walking.
people here to.
well, people like to be where people are. So the more they see people in windows at shops and they see cars out in front, like we test Sharky's all the time. We'll be the first ones there. If we don't park right in front of Sharky's, nobody will come in until we're done with breakfast. We park right in front of Sharky's, it gets packed because people know it's open and somebody's coming.
Mhm.
You know, it's silly little things
Yeah.
like that, right?
Yeah.
In front of your place, as soon as people start parking where that bus stop is, your business, various business gets busier.
Louis, did you have something that you want to say there?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, actually, the town I was previously in, I started a farmer's market. I think that's a great idea. It would bring people in. It's a great community event. But other events like that would help attract people. I was just wondering, does the town own any property around for parking? I mean, is there space for parking?
It's 11.3
Yeah,
acres.
we do now.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
We can't put
Well, there's that
parking lot on it.
Yeah, we
No,
can.
there's
We
sections.
we certainly can put a parking lot.
Yeah.
but just parking along the road is not gonna be enough, I
All
don't
we have
think.
to do is serve, we have to create 105 affordable housing units, but we can use the rest of that property for, right?
For other
Right.
stuff.
Mhm.
So we could put a big parking structure on that.
Right across from the post office.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great, that would put, everybody would have to drive all the way through the town of Fraser to go park.
Yeah.
Free parking.
Decide where they want to go.
Right.
That's why I said EDAC should take on parking.
But help me
It's a
Well,
huge-
the other advantage we
town-owned-
have, I was just gonna say that Fraser is relatively flat, right? Winter Park is kind of on a hill. And the farmer's market they've had there, I don't know that much about it. I've seen it a few times, but it's not really in a great spot, I don't think. But yeah, I think that there's great opportunity there.
We just bought Victoria Village.
Does it go all the way from the post office to 8?
Yep.
That whole,
Yep.
from the road the post office is on all the way to 8?
Michael just bought it.
Let's
Wow.
let's have a toast
It's
to
Michael's.
Victoria Village. Cheers, Michael.
Cheers.
Yes, I was gonna bring.
I did not realize it was that long on 40.
Well, and it goes from the
That's
highway.
huge.
We could start by doing a surface parking on 8 down by 8 because it's
Yeah.
all gas lines under
Right,
there. So you
right.
can't.
Barry, it also goes from the highway back to Twin Rivers, the green building.
But at the next CDAC meeting, I think it'd be really helpful if someone can show us on the map. I thought it was just that little area right on 8 where the sign has been for like 12 years I lived here. Wow, how many acres is it?
11.3.
Wow.
We also own, the town also owns a couple of other properties just off of Lake McCool. Right behind, basically right behind you.
Yeah, and at the meeting for the complex next to us, you said you do not want to build a parking lot there,
No,
and I agree. It's one of the most beautiful spots in the county. Totally agree with that. That should be either mixed use or nice houses, whatever.
the art center maybe should be down there.
I think so.
You putting a dagger in my heart?
Yeah, I don't.
I mean,
It's more acreage than right by you, and that big building's gonna block it.
I think it's a great idea.
You know, and it's a block away.
I think it's a great idea.
Signage with.
What about parking behind Grand Huts? Do people know that they can do that at night or?
Where's that?
Nope, I don't. There's no signage.
I didn't know that.
People think it's a house.
Where? I don't know.
Grand Huts like right on the other side of HGA.
Headwaters
Yes, I
Trail.
know,
lines.
sorry.
I was gonna say Grand Huts. You're talking about.
No, 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 sorry about that.
I know what she meant.
Headwaters Trails.
Oh,
Headwaters
okay,
Trail
yeah, I do
lines.
know.
Lines, the
Yeah.
visitors, our
The
visitor
visitor
center.
center,
Yes.
the old visitor center.
And there
There's
could
a
be a
little bit of
road that
parking
goes
there.
from Safeway right down into the old visitor center if we could ever get a plat finish. So that goes.
Would that be cool if it right from Safeway, it was like, come park right here.
Mhm.
The Old Town Fraser, right above the
So
light.
signage and park,
So I agree with all
and we
that.
have events,
Yeah.
going on. If we could get a farmer's market, somebody could, maybe Louis will volunteer for that.
You know, and it has helped
Hey,
because.
Louis. yeah.
Sounded
Could
like
I
you
ask a
wanted to.
question?
Sure, sure, I know how to do it.
Where?
Yep.
In that huge piece of land, which I didn't realize was that big, where do you plan on having the housing? But is that gonna be more on 8, or have you thought about it yet?
No, the house.
We haven't lined it out yet.
We just got the parcel.
Just got it on
A week and a
the-
half ago, we actually.
It's just kind of
Because there's a
vision.
high pressure
Gas
gas line.
That'd
We
be
have
so-
to-
Most of the housing would go on the.
And there's wetlands and a high pressure gas line. So it'll be.
Because it seems to me, to the degree possible, you want the parking close to the business district and the housing
Right.
further away. And it-
Yeah.
Yeah.
it-
Right across.
Unfortunately, that's not gonna work.
That
because
doesn't work.
The Park Avenue would be where most of the housing
Okay,
is.
okay.
You can't
Why?
build a house over a gas line.
There's a gas line on Park Ave.
You're not allowed to
Oh,
build an
yeah, that's
apartment over a
okay.
distillery. So that makes
So-
But this is where I'd want the parking to be.
Yeah. but
Right across Park Ave from the post office is where parking should go. Just close to town.
You could have commercial on the front of the parking garage and then the parking. garage.
That also complements, we've talked about extending that road that goes to the apartments right there. I can't remember the name right now. Front others. You see they have a partial road that then goes into that. We have a sewer, a main line that goes that way all the way to County Road 8. So we've talked about, that could be a road extension that connects 8 and could serve well as parking to have the options to kind of go those two different ways.
So that plan's a ways away. But Barry, do you recall that the turnkey grant that made it possible for us to purchase this land? Yeah, 80% of cost of land. Awesome.
I think what we need are long-term solutions and short-term solutions. But again, the town has built this beautiful park with the concrete and everything. And I would assume between the Public Arts Committee, local artists, somebody could volunteer to spearhead a farmer's market. We could do these things quickly and it'll be a game changer.
I think signage could be quick too, because what you need is a sign on the right before you turn on the Safeway that says downtown Fraser.
Great idea.
More shopping.
Breweries, wineries,
business,
shopping and
business
restaurants.
district,
Downtown
something-
shops,
Perfect.
restaurants,
Yeah.
and
Totally agree.
Something that says, hey, and say it's 2 blocks up. Go 2 blocks
Perfect.
up and you're,
Yeah,
I think that can
Dispensary.
make a big difference if you,
I think that's huge.
so if it's on Highway 40, do we have to get CDOT approval on that sign?
probably.
Only if it's on their easement.
So what was the sign that, there was that sign that was up there that was,
Downtown Fraser? Is
that fell apart, and would they get, does anybody remember how that got there? It was,
The one up towards the
it
front
was
of Fraser.
Kurtak that did it. But I don't know. Don't remember the history of,
Some signs are just put up and not asked,
well, yeah,
just so you know.
Perfect time to do it.
but it disintegrated and fell apart and got removed. So I don't, but I don't remember how,
What
but it
did
was in
say?
downtown
Fraser.
Fraser or something. But it needs to be
Half a
more
mile or
specific that it's
Right.
Right.
breweries, distillery, shopping. Rather than
I
Restaurant.
think like a funky, cool, like old school, like arrows pointing, like brewery, that would keep up with the Fraser, funky Fraser thing and be able to tell people, hey, it's right there.
I think just doing what you're suggesting will be enough of a visual. People go, well, it's 2 blocks and see what it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Do we
even-
have one for
I can work on that signage if you guys would like.
I think.
I mean,
those would
Yeah,
be
if you're gonna
perfect.
do, I like that idea. Do like number of steps from that sign
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
just show how
Two-
close
2 blocks.
everything is,
Whatever it
like,
is.
Yeah.
like 100 steps away, you can have a beer. 110 steps, you can have a glass of wine. 120
You
steps.
could play with
That's
it,
gotta
like
be
when you're
detailed.
driving to Steamboat and there's all those signs. You could like at 1 block away, say you're 1 block away. You know, like-
Right.
Oh, I forgot. FM
People get a
light-
chuckle
FM
out of that.
lighting
Yeah.
signs.
Yeah.
I forgot about those.
Just
You
drive
didn't
through the
forget about
south,
it.
you'll
Just
see,
remember the name.
see Ruby
Yeah.
Falls, Every 10 miles is another sign. You're getting closer to Ruby Falls.
You know,
The-
And the
us-
reason they do that is because it works.
So in signage, you can't, like the stuff that we have on Eisenhower, it's just too small and there's too
Yeah.
much.
And
And
It's
it
just,
looks like,
you can't
It's
see it.
visual
and-
clutter and if you don't,
Yeah.
your brain doesn't register
Right.
what it says.
mhm.
I really appreciate that idea. I think that would be a total game changer. What is the current plan besides the Mural Festival, which from a viewpoint of bringing people in is the biggest thing we have? I mean, it's always our biggest week of the year. And I think the way COVID forced us to spread it around town was one of the very few things that came out of COVID that was good.
Yeah.
But beyond that, what is our plan for this summer for this beautiful park?
Well, that's like music in the park. Even though here's the traditional place, it'd be better served over there in that park. More people would see it. People would hear it when
Which
they're
part?
driving
Our
by.
open
Are
space
you-
park by Safeway?
No.
Or
This part right by Fraser Valley.
Parnell, are you
Yeah.
saying you're moving it there? Or
No,
it's
that's
just an
that's
idea
one of
you
the things
have?
they should do.
Okay.
Because more people would come to it. You'd have more locals and more tourists would come by. Because
Well,
they'd see it.
It's
Yeah.
a, it's a
My
smaller
opinion.
space.
I could,
It's a smaller space.
It's a
There's no
smaller
playground
space
for
and-
kids and-
You know, the families love it here because the kids can just play. It's all fenced in. It's a safe space in terms of our smaller venue, but doing a better job advertising it, like with our blinky sign that's right here, having something out on Highway 40, that,
I know a lot of people that don't come to it because they think it's only for locals.
that's silly.
How do you know them then?
I know a lot of people that aren't locals.
He knows,
Local enough.
he knows everybody.
They're not very
Yeah,
smart.
you know,
I tell them the same thing.
Why can't
Come
go
on.
there? It's just for locals.
Hey, Louis, you can just jump in whenever you want.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I was gonna raise my hand, but I was wondering, what about like a dog park or something like that, more community-based activities that may draw people in? I don't know if we have a space for it, but,
That's all of Fraser,
I was
isn't it?
just gonna
Yeah,
say
yeah.
that.
well, it's true.
I'm all for
True.
dog parks, but
We
all of
have
Fraser's-
National Forest that's a dog park.
Right, okay.
Lines for ponds back there would be a great spot.
We are eventually gonna get there because I mean, we're gonna, once the Cousins Ranch open space develops, which is by the Lions Pond with the the park and the amphitheater
Yeah, what's
all
going on
of
with that?
that.
Who's in charge?
Toilet.
and the toilet
Yeah,
and,
that's what-
and then that signage right there, draw people in.
Well, I mean, even there would be a good place for the music in the park. Winter
Well,
Park,
Yeah,
Actually,
someday
probably
That's
down
the
there. would
plan when the
Right.
amphitheater is
Yeah,
finished.
once that's all done.
The fire and ice, like who all went to the fire and ice? Raise your
Yeah, it
hand.
was awesome.
That was
What I
awesome.
saw, the
And that
photos,
was
it was
down there.
fabulous.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I don't think you have to get rid of the sagebrush and just some natural grass. People come sit in the lawn.
Are you
The-
gonna do the fire and ice again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a big hit.
So Ed, what does it take for us to take a look at getting the line on the streets for parking? Is that something we have in our budget? Do you have the staff right now to take that on and look
If it's
at,
on the street, if it's on 40, I'm not sure.
not
No.
necessarily on 40,
On
but
side streets.
Side
like
streets.
by
We
Autumn's,
just put together a plan and a budget for it.
if there is room for diagonal parking and to get that labeled as such, that would be awesome.
Well, if you make a lot of the streets one way, you can do diagonal parking.
Yeah.
Right, and that gives you a lot more parking spaces.
Yeah.
Denver did a bunch of reverse diagonal parking, which makes it easier to get in and out.
There was a suggestion when we were designing the art center of making Eastham, Doc Suzy, I forget the name of the other road, of one-way
One way,
U,
right.
and I don't remember what happened.
That'd be tough though for Autumn's business. People they wouldn't have the option of just turning in there and they might just.
Well, it depends which way is the
Difficult.
best way to do the one way.
Yeah.
The plan was to turn right at her place.
Right.
Right.
That would make the most, because then it
And
would
go
draw
around.
people.
And
in.
that's kind of what a lot of people do anyway.
Yeah.
Because, otherwise you go down to the end of the street, turn around.
I think the only
So
challenge,
I do that a lot. I just don't. Yeah, It's kind of a natural one way.
back to the park, is there something we can do quickly without much cost to utilize it every weekend?
Are you volunteering to
That'd be
play
huge.
guitar over there?
That would not attract people, that would deter. Only worse would be if I sang.
Not if you gave away free whiskey though, because then we tolerate the.
I
bad
think
music.
I think Lewis is that can spearhead the farmer's market.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like that idea.
That would be
That's
awesome.
a great idea.
Well,
I don't know how quickly you can put that together, but
I could be naive about many things, but I think it could be done. There,
what day of the
you got
week
the
is
mushroom
Granby's?
people in Grand Lake, the honey people, you've got 2 or 3 ranchers. I mean, I saw a rancher with a trailer last summer by the Rocky Mountain Moonshine place. I think you got Fitch Ranch. I think you can make this work. And maybe you have the Public Arts Committee solicit everybody to see who wants, so maybe you have the farmers markets and food, and then say we have room for 4 tents for artists to come and have people sign up and then allocate it across weekends.
Yeah, I was going to say, we actually had a fair number of our booths were artists and people selling other things other than produce, or maybe 3 or 4 major produce. But people sold all sorts of stuff there, and it really attracted a lot of people. It's a great venue for people to gather. And they might want to have a drink when they're there too. I don't know.
I was just gonna get to that. Can the breweries have a tent? Is that legal?
It has to be, there's a couple ways to do it. You either have to do a special event permit, or the state just created a new alcohol beverage festival permit. So there's some different ways that we can do alcohol in the park that's not nonprofit oriented, where the restaurants and the distilleries, breweries can go in and sell their alcohol and receive the proceeds rather than a nonprofit. So that's something I'm working on.
That's something we did in the Highland neighborhoods in Denver before I moved up here. I helped with that.
So if you like rotate the breweries, each one got a weekend.
Or have
And
them each have their own tent.
Restaurants come and have a little tent. And then you have the craftspeople, artists, and then a handful of food. I think it'd crush it.
Music, live music.
And if Lewis wants to take this on, we can assist because we already buy from Honey People, Fitch Ranch, the Mushroom People.
what
The
mushroom
bread-
people?
Green Lake.
Have you never, Mystic Mushrooms, you never
It's
had
the
them?
rainbow
They
family.
deliver all over.
They're freaking amazing.
Yeah, they're fresh.
How do I not know about this?
Well,
I'll
We-
get- I'll
because you've been left in the
educate
dark.
we buy mushrooms every week.
That's a mushroom. I like
$3
mushrooms.
box. And there's probably more I don't work in the kitchen this anymore. I don't know. You have Rollins Bakery,
Susu.
Rollins Bakery.
Susu
Don't-
Farms is her daughter's.
Oh,
I
right,
did-
yeah.
I didn't want to say it. so
No,
thank
you should. You should. No, I apologize for forgetting that.
I mean, they traveled to Empire and,
I was gonna say they had a tent in Empire the other day.
yeah.
Like, why not do it here?
Hell, yeah.
Susu Farms.
Yeah.
I apologize for not thinking of it.
It's okay.
Man, see,
Yeah,
this is-
I like
it would give people an alternative to Safeway, right? But not to take away from Safeway, but fresh fruits and vegetables and all that. And a local produce would be great, right?
Somebody know, maybe Rocky Mountain Moonshine guys know the Palisade people. When they come, there's usually two of them. So they could probably one day a week have one of them there, and they have good stuff. I
And you
mean,
should totally, at the end of summer, get some green chili roast.
Yeah, it's just
That
smell.
would just like, yeah. Nothing more colorful.
Have Crawdad Festival, have a chili cook-off festival.
But I mean, it's just, and then people will get used to walking around and be like, hey, wait a minute, this is,
Right.
we can walk to Camber, we can go anywhere. We can walk
I
to-
think it would be,
Worth a try for sure.
oh, yeah.
Once
But
you get to Conoco, you can go.
Right, but if Sarah created some, I know we talked about maps at some point. Did we ever do maps, Sarah? With businesses?
well, you do a map for the Mural Festival. It shows where all the restaurants and breweries are.
Oh, the booklet, like you could, like if we handed out that so that once we got people there, here's the other businesses.
Or just something to scan.
If the booklet
this
doesn't
day
have
and age.
videos in it, it's probably not gonna get anybody's attention. Just based on what people do.
Yeah.
It's your online presence is probably gonna be the biggest draw.
Outside signage is on us. Once we get them down here, they can see, hey, there's a distillery, there's a brewery, there's a bar,
Right.
But they're just not coming past Safeway, that's the problem.
I just want to be equitable to all of.
Right,
everybody.
absolutely.
Louis, how long would this take?
That's a good question. I don't know if you have vendors kind of lined up, it wouldn't take that long. I would recommend kind of approaching vendors, and it's good to have some local live music, maybe acoustic music, invite artists, kind of broaden it. If we could have drinks too, that would be great. But yeah, I don't think wouldn't take that long to get it off the ground. I think this summer would be realistic, probably late summer, but yeah,
So what do we have
just need-
for shelter?
need a
there?
spot. We need a spot.
Oh, wait.
We have a
Beautiful
spot
park.
over,
Park.
yeah, the park
So explain which park it is.
by the distillery,
Thank
just
you.
on the other
One
side. of
The
us.
Mural
It's-
Park.
The
The
Mural
Mural
Park.
Park.
The Mural Park. Are you familiar with that space, Louis?
You haven't looked at there?
Yeah,
In
Okay,
New
good.
Country, they just delivered beautiful picnic tables 2 days ago.
Awesome.
They
And
look
that-
pretty. They-
and
Nice.
that's right along the river too, right?
No, this is right
like
behind the
solid
brewery
concrete.
or that distillery
Okay.
in that
It's
lot
basic,
there.
it's basic, where the art center was, might go.
Might, well, I can't,
Well,
I thought you all
might-
voted.
We
it-
might.
well, we want an art center, but we're trying to figure out what it's, we won't be able to see it because of those big buildings. and there'll be no
imagine
place to
having an
park.
Art center down by the river with the performing art center.
Sounds
down
pretty cool to
with-
me.
with-
Yeah.
And it's basically half a block away.
And if you keep the willows short, then people can see it from the Safeway. building.
Don't talk about-
Well, and when we talk about signage too, right there by the Mural Park, you can access the Fraser River Trail. And I know people have a hard time finding it. If you could get signage to get people off of the river trail and down to the downtown, that could go both ways, and you can really attract people right there at that intersection also.
Right.
The foot
Yeah.
traffic. Yeah.
Signage is gonna be key,
It is.
In town, get drunk on your bike and ride home.
that's right, because people just don't know.
They're not gonna catch you on the Fraser River Trail.
Could I,
I mean, if you're coming down the highway, then go turn at Safeway, you have a trailer parked in front of you that, I mean, you don't think there's anything else. So,
If you can identify those locations and the content.
I like the idea too, of
Okay.
like really
Check it
simple icon signage, like images, like silhouettes of representing things. Because it's just,
Oh,
you could have, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 things on a sign and people wouldn't really know what they were without the words.
Right.
And then we could all, as businesses, if that's our thing, put it in our window. And they'd be like, oh.
That's a good idea.
I think there's probably grant opportunities to pay for wayfinding signs and so forth. I know a lot of municipalities have taken advantage of that, but I've got another question. I mean, these are all great ideas, but again, as far as another mission, again, my understanding of EDAC when it was formed was about the incentive program that started. Oh, I might be wrong, but this is just my understanding, but they were overseeing that incentive program.
That's true. It was founded by Philip and Jeff.
Okay.
With the mandate of coming up with ideas to recommend to the board to attract businesses into the Fraser Business District and to promote the businesses and help them be successful. The incentive program was a key part of that, but that came later. The
Well, the
mandate,
question I've got to ask, and I brought this up at the EDAC meeting, you know, one of our priorities for the town is sustainability, and these farmer markets and so forth, they could be a good long range, but they also a good short range. But I'm also thinking about what could be done as far as business attraction, improving our businesses. You know, it's one thing to take money out of the general fund to offer grants and so forth for improvements and so forth, but there's other funding mechanisms that could be explored as well. And I'm just curious if the board would want to have EDAC explore some of those extra funding opportunities as well for those kind of long range projects. I mean, we can identify a space for parking structure, but you know, finding the $4 to $5 million to build a parking structure would be the bigger challenge.
That's what Michael's for. 3.8 million.
Yeah.
Get after
Yeah, we don't want to stretch about too thin, but we do need money to fund this.
Yeah.
But.
Well, I think also you need to think about like a return on investment calculation, right? How much money is it going to bring in to the town? How much revenue? How much tax, the tax basis and everything? That could be significant.
For the parking garage, you mean?
Well, no, just
Even-
increasing the traffic flow of the business,
Oh, got it.
retail, right?
Right.
So my question is that something that the EDAC should also take on? Exploring some of those funding opportunities, sustainable funding, doing some of that evaluation work about return on investments.
Does the Main Street project thing
Yeah.
pertain to this at all?
Our position in Main Street is we're kind of at the initiate level and kind of limited on the funding. I mean, we can certainly focus on expanding Main Street to get to that next level. Something else that I asked Sarah to look into is create a creative district, which is similar to a Main Street type of program. I think the town applied for it in the past, and I've been hearing some communications that they'd be willing to look at that again, especially with our artistic festivals and the funkiness of our town. That artistic district is now the creative district is run by the Office of Economic Development and International Trade. It's a great program. It has other funding mechanisms as well. You can have a Main Street and a artistic district as well. But I'm thinking long range. If we want to find ways to maybe create opportunities for businesses to maybe do some improvements, expansions and so forth like that, how can the town assist with something like that? We're kind of limited on what we can do as far as taking taxpayers' dollars and giving it to businesses. But if you can find a dedicated funding stream of some way, then that's more legal.
please just take a step back. I don't think anything we're suggesting is the town giving money to businesses. it's things like,
I'm not saying that.
Yeah,
I'm not
okay.
saying that, but I'm thinking, what 5 to 10 years down the road?
Yeah.
What if there's a major renovation that needs to go on? Maybe there's to make room for additional commercial businesses and so forth.
I think that's a great idea. But parking and signage is a great start, and I don't want to overload and spread them too thin right
Okay.
now.
I agree.
That's
So,
fine.
because you're every one of the members of EDAC is a business. No. Their business owners are limited, so.
Right.
I mean,
And volunteers.
pinpoint fine objectives should be what.
Sarah can do that. Can Sarah help with that?
What's that?
Can Sarah help with that?
With what?
What you're asking.
Actually, I would probably do best working on that and just bring it to the board. It's not something necessarily the EDAC could do, but that could be that vetting process.
I appreciate that because we don't understand government and all
Okay.
these opportunities. What you described a week or two ago sounded fantastic, but also sounds like something that's gonna take a long time.
Yeah, it's more of a board action, but
Okay. Well, I guess we don't have much time left, but I would, first of all, this has been wonderful. Second, if Lewis is willing to work on this, I will commit that we will help and anybody else wants to. I'd like to talk to your daughter because she probably knows other people. And let's make this happen. If you could please find out the capability of the breweries and the winery to be there. Let's do this quickly. And
What day would be good to try to figure out here so we can tell the vendors what day.
yeah,
would be.
Sunday, right? I
Saturday
don't-
or Sunday, I'd say.
Saturdays, I think we have enough people coming, so Sunday might be better, but
Sure, there's a lot of people driving through on Sundays.
It's
During
that's a
the
good
day.
point, yeah,
It's not.
going home.
Yeah,
But that's what
exactly.
they
They
stop
would
and
stop.
Yeah,
I
maybe,
agree.
maybe Friday might be a better day, but
So
Gary, I
double
appreciate
check on
you.
Grammys.
I'd love to meet with you when I get back. You're sitting in my seat, but that's
And
great.
I did not
You're doing a great
suggest
job.
I did not, I put
No.
the name down. So
No,
no
I
one-
look forward to meeting with you, but yeah, you have some great ideas and appreciate your input.
When are you back?
This weekend.
Great,
So next week, I'll swing by.
thank you.
All right.
I'll get my team to start contacting everybody that we know and maybe if anybody else has suggestions, you can,
Isla and Mesa probably have a huge.
yeah, we were just talking about that. Because they
And
know
then
everybody.
not the same night that Granby has theirs, a different night. doesn't
What night
Granby?
do they have theirs?
Randy's doing it on Wednesday.
Wednesday. Yeah.
I agree.
So
I
I
think it
think
should be
you have-
Friday, Saturday or Sunday.
Choice
Like
of where
Friday,
that is.
Fraser
I-
Farmers.
yeah, I don't think Wednesday's a great
Why are
day
you
to
worried
do it.
about
but-
Grammys?
No, I really like the idea
It's a
of
whole
taking
different
advantage
clientele.
of
Not
the
necessarily.
people that are either going
The people-
north or
I
going
would
south.
I
So
think
be
you should
Friday.
also get a lot of
Can we go to
vendors that
Grammys?
want Grammys and this one. because
Yeah.
they would give them to- Yeah,
Yes.
and they do on different nights. so.
Do you know who all the vendors are in the Granby market?
Well, I mean, my business in Granby is sponsoring that market for some.
Oh.
So,
Well, let's,
Yeah.
you and us talk.
Okay, I gotta.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm super excited.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, we actually leveraged a local farmer market for the vendors, so that's a great idea. Granby already has something in place, then hitting up those vendors for another day would be great. Be easy.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're, actually, your daughter and I were talking about the market. And so picking maybe a better day of the week, and surveying the vendors and find out what works best for them. Because it just really has to be worth their while. Because it's a lot of work. Yeah. To
Okay,
get a lot of input from them.
we're out of time, but I want to thank, because I was concerned that EDAC was going to go away because it hasn't done anything for quite a long time. So I'm excited that you guys are taking this back up. means a lot because I did suggest starting it.
You did. And it means a lot to all of us. It's been wonderful. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
great. Thanks, everybody.
I don't want you to leave.
I have a preschool graduation party to go to.
Yeah, get
And
it.
it's walking distance away and there will be adult beverages.
Okay, we got a
Thank you, guys.
5. We have so many minute meeting until 7, whatever the clock is. 5-minute break.
What did you want to say, Mayor? What were you saying that you were trying to say something?
I did say.
Oh.
I was super excited that it came back together because I thought it was gonna go away. I thought it was dead. I thought DDAC was gonna go
Yeah,
away.
it's back.
I thought it was gonna go the way of water and wastewater.
Yeah, it's back. I think on my first meeting, I was like, oh, is this a pin?
We-
Over.
Just let me know.
Did you recall?
Maybe I have to move all my stuff. No, I'm just.
Let's
Multiple beverages going.
You're just all over the place tonight.
Yeah.
Our mics are often loud. A lot more sound.
You're right. I think a lot of people have this. When I was coming up, it was.
What is this? Did you get a pin over there? What does it say? Oh.
Would you like to borrow my glasses?
Oh my gosh, you guys, you should see the Fraser stuff I have. Oh yeah, dude, I've got in my garage right now. I've got all the pews from the historic church from the 50s and 60s. Yeah, from the screen one. Ricky had him in storage. Ricky Leonard. Oh my god, you guys, I have so much crap. I can't wait to like put it on display at the bar. It's awesome.
So much stuff.
I got 2 refrigerators like this. They both work. Make you want to kegger. One of them's like really, really old. One of them's like rounded like this, but the other one's like
Let's get Parnell.
old. White. It's really old.
Parnell, would you second the motion to disband the wastewater? Okay, I just want to make sure it comes in for a vote.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh thanks. I felt special for like 2 seconds.
No one made a motion. Should have put it on the consent agenda.
Yeah, no, I don't.
So if I send you a photo of that, maybe.
You can, or you can send it to Sarah. Sarah's the actual staff liaison to DDAC. And she can forward that out. I would volunteer to do it, but since I'm the acting public works director and planning coordinator, just a little bit. I needed that. Left my phone, left my laptop. Didn't think of it.
I'm thinking one more mint, and I think that's might be what's making me sleepy.
Sorry, was minutes today.
Yeah.
That resolution for the fleet. Rob, if you guys have questions, Rob. will answer those.
Yeah. It's weird when I'm. Fixing to. I just.
That's what we should start playing.
Suits
A
taken.
grandchild who
if you don't show up for a meeting, you get assigned to.
I'm doing well.
If you know what?
If you don't show up for meetings, you could get assigned to committees. You may or may not want to be.
Yep. Seen that happen a lot. Been voluntold.
Watch and see who makes the motion tonight.
Yeah.
This should go pretty fast
I
tonight.
think everyone should say.
What?
You'll find out.
We've we've already given them the plaque saying, thank you for your service. We'll just get a little post-it note, stick it over there.
There it is.
I got two. Your granddaughters.
There is, I think you should just say Euro.
What? Who's that? Right. Oh, cool.
You ready? We're recording small. Okay, I'd like to call to order the Town of Fraser's regular meeting on June 1st, 2022 at 7 PM. Can I please have a roll call?
Katie Fisher.
Eileen Waldo,
Brian Cirkbeck.
Parnell Quinn.
Katie Souls.
Louis Gregory.
Philip Vanderneel. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes the minutes from May 18th and resolution 2022-0601 Fraser River Valley Housing Partnership appointment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And next is discussion and possible action and resolution 2022-0602, which is authorizing the town manager to expend funds for a fleet purchase, and Rob is going to be telling us all about cranes on the back of trucks.
Yes, so basically it's the disconnect between procurement and purchasing. We ordered trucks and outfitting June 2021. It was in the budget in the 2021 budget. They arrived last month. So it's now pushed into the 2022 budget. The 2022 budget had line items that were split between heavy equipment and fleet repair and replace funds. But when they came, trucks are more expensive, outfitting is more expensive. So what was originally approved, we're still within budget as far as overall total budget. We can cover it within the budget without having to do a budget amendment based on two things of being able to move money between the two funds of heavy equipment and fleet. And we also sold a truck. And so that the revenue from that covers the additional outfitting. The big wrinkle in this was the transition of one of the outfitted trucks from a manual crane for sending people into manholes, hauling up hydrants, doing all kinds of stuff. The request was made for a hydraulic train or a crane, which is basically changed that price tag about $16,000. So that was a big change within that outfitting order. But when we look at the total sum of everything, $16,000 doesn't trigger board approval, but if you lump that with the rest of the outfitting and the trucks, it does require board approval. So that we're trying to reconcile that and bring that back into balance. But I do believe that the hydraulic crane is a better option. The current crane truck we have is a manual one. We've had two people kind of throw out their backs trying to work it on their own. And the hydraulic crane actually allows us to have one person do a job as opposed to having to have two people. So with a labor shortage, that actually helps a lot from a functionality standpoint.
Sounds safer.
Yeah, it's helps us with workman's comp, helps us with a lot of functionality. It does turn the crane truck into a potentially like a lift gate type truck because it has that functionality of being able to move things pretty quickly for one person as opposed to getting multiple people to unload a truck or load a truck. So this has been one that's been confusing because every time we talk to the dealer and the outfitting fabricators, prices keep changing. And so we've been having to go back and revisit scope, especially since this was all set up a year ago. So
I just have a question about the numbers basically. So you say you've bought a truck for 90, an O&M vehicle for 90,000, a haul truck for 105, totals 195. Remaining funds in that fund is 95,000. This brings you 35,000 over budget for the total of these two funds. What does the balance fund available of 50,000 mean up above if you're short $35,000?
it's we have the money in the budget being able to move within that fund. So we're not overdrawn on the fund, but it does trigger board approval because it's a purchase over $40,000. And so that's the trigger piece. What's not in that fund at the moment is it was the sale of the other truck, the surplus vehicle sale. That's 27.5 that just cleared last week. So we're getting that check sent to us probably next week.
Okay.
So that changed the delta for us as far as what's available in that fund to be able to expend.
So that's like $7,500 that you're still over budget for the total of the two funds. Is that right?
Not for both funds.
Okay. I don't know.
I'm
Is
trying-
this just written incorrectly? Okay.
Took a while.
To digest all that, it's basically the aggregate of the two funds, because the crane is in one fund, the truck is another fund. So those two funds, the money is basically gonna be interchangeable between those two funds. So the truck purchase comes from that one fund, but there's money between the two funds to fund the whole purchase.
That'd be better to think of it as between the two line items.
Yeah.
They're within the same fund.
So it's, they're basically three pieces. One was the haul truck, and that was budgeted at 150. And we got it for 105 or 104. So that was, that gave us some surplus within that, but that fund actually had more than 150 in it for the purchase of other heavy equipment vehicles that we're going to defer that. We don't need those this year. The other fund, what it called out was 90 for or 50 for an O&M vehicle and 90 for a water wastewater vehicle. The O&M vehicle with outfitting comes in at 90. And so if we flip those essentially, because they're coming out of the same line item, we're looking at a wastewater truck that we had 50 budgeted for it. The truck itself is 56, and the outfitting on top of that is what gets us to that. I think it'll come out about 125, but I think we rounded up to 130. I think that's what's written in there. So there's a little bit of rounding in some of this because literally every time is like, oh, this is going up another few $100 or another $1,000. And so I think I don't think we are going to go over those two line items within this current budget with the extra revenue coming in from the sale of a vehicle.
Okay.
So clear it up, right?
So,
Well,
Yeah.
I doubt if you got a haul truck. You
It's
didn't-
called something else.
It's called a dump.
Dump truck.
a dump truck.
Oh.
It depends on which notes we looked at. We were like, okay, in one it says haul truck, for 150, and then another one says dump truck, but it is truly a dump truck.
A haul truck is
yeah.
not allowed on streets. and-
Correct. And all of these are being outfitted. One of the things that they in the scope made sure that they were all getting plows and stuff, setting up for that so they can be used interchangeably between the departments.
So what's the difference between a haul truck and a dump truck?
Well,
Size.
the haul truck hauls more
Mhm.
and it's got huge tires.
Or
And
those
it's not a lot.
The yellow ones that's running around on our streets all the time? Is that a haul
Yeah,
truck?
that they're moving all the
Those
dirt.
are not mixed, but those are, yes.
But they're allowed on our streets or not? allowed?
They're not.
We allow them.
We allow?
Money, do
Now
we?
I'm looking back at the guy in the
Law
back.
enforcement.
There is an agreement in place that allows that. Pre-existing.
An agreement with whom?
Once again, I'd have to look at that, but my understanding is chief, that has been brought to the chief and he's addressed it before, talking about, and are we talking about trucks that are running down John's Drive?
Yeah.
Is that my understanding? Okay. Yeah, that was brought up to the chief. And I believe he had a conversation with whom I don't know, but he had explained this to me that it had come to his attention that those trucks were driving back on John's Drive.
This was brought up a few years ago.
That's our
Yeah.
side.
It's
Okay.
our
So anyway,
street.
that's.
Okay, that's a little bit of a tangent, but haul truck and dump truck. And then you said illegal.
Yeah.
Spark factory.
Big truck and bigger truck.
I'd like to make a motion.
Well, I have another question.
Oh, good. You get a question.
So it's a water wastewater truck replacement.
Mhm.
Does any of this come out of the wastewater budget?
You mean the treatment facility or the JFLC budget?
Yeah.
No, that comes out of our water and we have a water fund and a wastewater fund. It's mainly for our distribution collection system for treatment and delivery and collections of that. Doesn't come out of the JFLC budget.
And this one was listed as a water wastewater, but I'll say 95% is water. The water team
Water
is
lines.
pretty much, this is what they're planning to use.
Placing water lines.
And the water team, quite frankly, handles both the water distribution and the wastewater collection system. So they're out there checking manholes, cleaning manholes, jetting manholes, but they're also doing the water treatment. They're exercising hydrants, replacing hydrants and so forth. It's the same group of people that are from upstairs.
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 2022-0602, authorizing the town manager to expend funds for a fleet purchase.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, next is the Fraser Mountain Mural Festival Special Event Permit and Antoinette.
So the PAC has applied for a special event permit for the mural festival. The loss of the use of the One Love property for the new building, they can't use the property over there, and the mural and the Mural Fest park isn't big enough. They can't do the stage of murals over there this year. So they're gonna do a very similar event. They're still gonna spread it around town like they have in the past years. However, they want to do a condensed site on Railroad Avenue and put murals there. And the stage over there also, and they'll do bathrooms and close down Railroad Avenue, basically just to the left of the car wash, all the way down past I think it's the Fraser Professional Building, to where it curves around to kind of where it almost meets over to Park Avenue, and close that down and do all the murals on that site. They will put barriers on each end of the street so that no cars can drive through that area. And there will be egress for emergency access for any emergency vehicles of any kind. And they'll have volunteers watching, and we will try to buffer off the railroad so that people that are actually using the railroad is parking just for those folks, so that we don't have people going to the Mural Fest parking there also. And we did mail out a letter to all of the businesses and residents in that 200 feet radius of that street to allow them, if they wanted to come tonight and speak on behalf of the mural of the special event permit, they could. I didn't get any communication from anybody that they wanted to come, but it didn't require a public hearing because there's no alcohol being served, but because it is closing down a town road, it does require town board approval to close that road down. Any questions?
And the chief looked at it and he said it was okay.
Yep, he approved it.
Great.
Questions, motions?
That'll make some good space over there. And if they can utilize our little park to some degree too, that's got good visibility from Highway 40.
Not sure if she's planning on putting any murals in the Mural Park, but it will be spread around town. Sarah, can you?
We're still going to use the Mural Park. The murals that are being moved are the ones that were at Azteca and HTA. those will be moved to the Railroad Avenue. And also we're adding 5 new murals. So we had 25 in the past and now we're going to have 30.
Sarah, and then that little small park, just as you first come into town, right adjacent to the professional building, just across that little road. Will you guys be using that also?
We wanted to save that for parking.
Okay.
Mhm.
Cool. All right.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Fraser Mountain Mural Festival special event permit.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I,
Exciting. How many applicants were there, Sarah? And the guy from India is gonna make it, right?
I think we had 86 total.
Wow.
Mhm.
It's amazing.
They would have thought.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Is
Think we got a
Raphael coming
plan for
back?
85 in the future.
Wow.
No, right. I mean, that's,
It's
you get that Safeway park.
That's
figured
it's
amazing.
out.
internationally known.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Some guy, a muralist from India. So good job, Fraser Pack.
Yay.
Yeah.
Good job, Sarah.
Now get that Lions Club pond park open.
Yep.
We're gonna start making some moves. That's on us. All right.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah. Next is ordinance 487, dissolution of water and wastewater committee.
So the ordinance is pretty self-explanatory. Basically, we just removed that from our municipal code. And a copy of that ordinance is in the packet. This is after direction from our last meeting. And also this continuation of about a year ago that was kind of overdue.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the
I have a
ordinance.
why? The
He
repeal?
send them, he can,
Oh,
you
okay.
can go ahead and finish your motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the ordinance 487, dissolution of water and wastewater committee.
Okay, the repeal part 2 and part 3.
It's not part of the code.
What?
That's not part of the code. That's just part of the ordinance. So it's confusing when you read that.
Right.
I was confused from
That
that.
it looks like it can, like that part is going to stay within the municipal code, and that's not actually part of it. So just the section Article 10 to what is crossed out is the only part that's in the code. The other part is,
Just evaporates.
well, it's just, that's part of the actual,
Well, use pun.
the what?
Just evaporates. Yeah.
All
I
right.
got it.
That's part of the dissolution, I guess. So there's the part 1, and then it goes into the code, and then part 2 and part 3.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Do we want to do a roll call? Please.
Fisher, I.
Waldo, no.
Circle guy.
Quinn, I.
Souls, aye.
Gregory, I.
Vandernail, aye. Motion carries. Open forum, this is where the public can address the board. We want to thank the water and wastewater committee. They already got their plaques last year. But, you know, so mine things up in my office. Anyhow, okay, open forum is public. We have no public here and we have no public online, so we are now at updates. Does any of the board have any updates?
I'd have something that I'd like us to take a look at in the future. I was out here, anyway, our picnic shelter, if we could look into investing in the heaters like they have over at the Amtrak station. They run on a timer, you turn them on, it's a radiant heat with lights. And thinking about our musicians that play there. I think it would be could be a great investment. I have no idea what they have to pay for it in terms of electrical, but I think it would be a real asset to that space
I would agree with that.
and our community.
Any other updates?
Cleanup day. When is cleanup day?
This Sunday.
This Sunday, June
From
5th.
11 to 4.
What?
You're gonna get
11 a.m. to 4 p.m. this Sunday at the drop.
What are we not allowed to throw away at the drop?
Not allowed to throw. See the flyer. Construction waste,
Bodies?
bodies. Yeah.
I bury those.
Bodies in the past, but I'm not taking those anymore.
Don't take what anymore? Sorry.
Bodies.
Yeah.
Anything with Freon in it. Yeah, appliances. Can't take like, microwaves and stuff. There would be electronics there as well. So
Snow blowers?
snow blowers.
Snowmobiles. I'm just thinking of the stuff that we had brought up last year that had to get turned away.
Well, that's
Call
typically
Isaac.
because
You
they
know him?
don't-
He picks up all sorts of
Yeah.
trash.
I don't know. Can I get his?
Yes.
Said he'd
I
put
would
your
love
residence
this number.
I'll
Okay.
get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And as long as we're talking about the free trash day, can somebody update me on our code enforcement person?
Oh, yeah.
Because our town is, I don't know if anybody's driving around our community, but our
So-
community is looking really run down. There's everywhere you go drive around Fraser, there's,
I've got another fridge.
we have a junk ordinance. We have a junk ordinance that we should start enforcing because our town is not looking good.
So we have hired a code enforcement officer. He started yesterday,
Oh.
or sorry, yeah, yesterday was his first day.
Of course.
He has probably a couple month long training program that he's going to go through with another officer, with addition to training outside with Granby's code enforcement officer and Vales, just kind of get an idea of what his responsibilities are. And part of that field training program is probably going to be addressing these issues that you're referring to, Mayor.
Excellent, thank you.
So yeah, that's the update on him. Tomorrow I'm taking him to go get him outfitted with all his equipment. So he's just so new that he's not even set up yet. This week and probably the beginning of next week, we're going to get him established and get all of his equipment and everything he needs. And yeah, after that, we'll get him going. So
They did ask
Great.
for some previous examples of nuisance violation letters that we have sent out before. So I sent those out 2 or 3 weeks ago. So it sounds like there's something in motion there.
Is he a local?
yeah,
Perfect.
he's from here. I grew up with his brother, Nate Town. His name's Jack Town. He actually worked over at Murdoch's. He's stolen from Murdoch. So
Tony's son.
Yeah.
Well, that's good, because our town is, you guys go drive around. There's mattresses laying in front yards. there's-
That's housing.
Oh, yeah, it's bad. It's,
That's
Our neighborhood doesn't
Sure.
look like that.
Our neighborhood doesn't look like that.
But there's
there's
a lot of
stuff
cars.
right on the highway, right on our
Lots of
highway
cars.
looks. There's a big berm that's missing now, and now it looks like it's horrible.
I think I know the spot you're referring to
Where's this?
down there on Clayton. That area.
I'll talk to you.
Generally, okay. Got it. Understood, sir.
So,
So, but that's the update on our code enforcement officers. We
Great.
hired one and we're getting them going.
Awesome.
Yay, awesome.
And a
Thank you.
local too.
That's good
yeah,
news.
Awesome, thank you.
Perfect.
I'm not putting it to do.
Fires are we gonna talk about fires?
Just real
Is this
quick,
every meeting we're
We
gonna
got some
have?
I just
spray
want to
paint
keep
down
you up
Bars
to date
Avenue.
because these are 2 big important projects. Start with
Victoria
Lions,
Villages.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Lions Pond, the contractor is waiting to get his bonding. And that's the last piece of that puzzle. And as far as Byers Avenue Waterline, they promised me a bid by today and I didn't get it by the end of today. So I will be following up with them.
And it's the same contractor?
Same contractor.
Looks like you got lucky, Katie. All the spray paint's on my side of the street.
Okay, next Victoria Village update.
Yeah, so
You got the gas, I got the water.
Yeah.
we did close on Victoria Village on May 20th as planned. And, that came together very well between a lot of assistance from Rob and Antoinette, Ed. Very much a team effort to drive that home. So we did close on that. We do have a loan that was, discussed at a previous board meeting that we did take to bridge the gap between we actually received the funding from the grant which they anticipate within the next 2 months, we should have that funding. I did put the signed final agreement from the town in the mail yesterday. Today. So that'll go through Department of Local Affairs. That'll get signed, and that'll help get the process started with us receiving the funding for that. So hopefully it's sooner, but we have this loan in place that will be paid off, and there is a stipulation with the grant agreement and this funding through the Division of Housing that they will be able to reimburse us for some or all of the fees and interest associated with the loan, to reimburse us for those expenses as well, since they couldn't make it the funding deadline by our closing date. So
Nice.
yeah, we own Victoria Village. Yeah, keep me into go grab the sign that's out there and burn it or something. But,
For sale sign?
yeah. So
Future home.
Can we just get a sold one?
yeah.
Parking.
Or no, you got a sold one?
I got a few extra sold signs. I
Go
can
put it
throw
out
in.
there.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
So now people know, hey, it's
Yeah.
not just off the market, it's sold.
Yeah.
But
The last day I put up a sign, put a sold on.
we are working on writing an RFQ to be the developer, figure out who we want to work with as far as the developer. We will be bringing to you a plan as far as scheduling workshops, community engagement, and just what those next steps are going to look like to get good direction from the board on that process, and so we can move forward with this, getting that developer on board and getting a plan and presenting that to the community with different options, and drive something forward.
Awesome.
Awesome. Good job, everybody.
Yay. Yes.
Good job.
That's awesome.
Boys or girls.
Okay. Any other updates?
I've got one more. Today I spoke to Ken Schutz with Aligned Influence, and we have tentatively set up a board retreat for June the 30th. That's Thursday.
I'm too busy in June to do a retreat.
Well, we can look at other dates, but this would be an all-day
Yeah.
event. We just couldn't do it even sooner.
Gotcha. I'm not gonna be on that. It'll be October before I can take a day off. So I think I made that pretty clear.
Yeah.
So the tentative agenda would be, if you look at the aligned influence there, under the stages, the far left says check alignment. There's a calendar that was approved way back when. And so they want to go through and just kind of reintroduce the aligned influence, do a little bit of training of what that means, do our governance document review and the calendar review. And then in the afternoon, they want to do a couple of listening sessions with local stakeholders, business owners and developers and so forth. And then they'll have another listening in panel with some staff members as well to kind of get an idea of their feedback from them, follow-up discussions, and then that direct statement update that was proposed in 2015.
Excellent.
I know, Philip, you can't make it on that 30th, but is that date good, or do you want to try to reschedule?
I'll be gone that day.
Well, let's look
You're
for another
gone,
date.
Yeah.
Be asked to send out a
Yeah.
doodle poll.
Couldn't doodle out.
Yeah.
Do it.
I do
Yes,
have-
there seems to be a disconnect between what is being said and what is being heard. Okay, any other?
That is the problem with most communication.
Yeah, definitely. The lack of-
I have that with my husband all the time.
I'd like to just say, just real quick, we have been able to hire a full gardening staff this year, so it's the first time in 2 years, so it's
Wow.
very exciting.
That's great.
Things are looking up.
It's sunny all day. What do you want?
Yeah,
It's a
What do you
great day
want?
for, I think this town's getting a little soft. I want to say, they canceled the bike rodeo
I
because of
know.
weather.
I know.
Spring splash because of wind. I'm going, what, who are these people?
That was it, wind?
These aren't Fraser people doing this stuff.
They're not.
They're getting soft.
Sky is not a Fraser person.
These kids could be out there in the snow, you know, they're Fraser kids, they can handle
It's
it.
like people leaving camping on a Sunday because it rained. I mean, it makes no sense. You drove all the way up from Denver and you leave on a Sunday. And it's Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you people?
Okay.
Hang out in the cold.
Any other updates?
Yeah, Philip, I just want to back up to the whole the cleanup day thing. It seems like maybe there's maybe another option to help people like get rid of larger items. I mean, I had a couch, I had to like get a trailer, drive it over to the transfer station in Granby, pay like $150, which is maybe probably more than it's worth to get rid of it. Are there any other solutions? You can't drop that off at the dump or so
Mattresses are expensive to get rid of.
yeah, mattresses, box springs, couches, chairs, all that stuff. It costs more to actually take it over and dump it than it is worth a lot of times. I don't know if there's another solution, but you know, could we hire like I don't know, dump truck or some type of vehicle maybe once a month or a few weeks that could pick up stuff like that? I mean, I understand people who have stuff in their yard, but they can't afford, or they maybe don't have the means to take it anywhere to get rid of it. And giving them a citation, finding them for that, it seems like a little counterproductive. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents about that.
Good point.
Can't afford to throw away the bed, buy an air mattress.
Okay, thanks, Liz.
Anyway.
Good point.
Yeah. Maybe we do more dump days.
Should have a winter dump day.
Yeah, once a year is probably not enough.
Well, we do it twice a year. We do it in the
Oh,
spring
twice a year.
and the fall.
Okay, well, okay.
I haven't, being in the long-term rental game for 50 years with the family, getting rid of mattresses is one of the most expensive things you can do. And I don't know why the trash is so expensive.
Mattress to the Granby transfer. I took a whole truckload of stuff to the Granby transfer. And it was $85 a truckload. The whole back of the truck. So there was a mattress there.
Yeah,
So
they
I
just
don't-
charge extra for mattresses.
No, I did this a week ago.
No, so out of your $85, if you didn't have a box spring and mattress, it would have been cheaper. They charge.
But I don't think $85 is a lot of money to get rid of
A
a
truckload
truckload of.
No, right.
Garbage, yeah.
That's for some people.
I'll be there tomorrow. I'll ask them what the deal is with mattresses.
Oops. I can imagine Jacko, or like my neighbors
Right.
coming up with $85 and a truck to get it out of there.
Well, they made it illegal to burn them, so that's kind of a thing.
That's good. That's a good thing.
Fire ban, what's going?
Maybe we should have that mattresses for the Fire and Ice Festival, right?
There you go.
Oh, bad
Hey.
idea. Okay.
Okay.
I moved to adjourn.
Thank you.
Uh,
Is there a second?
All right, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
What's going on? I was just gonna say, I'd like the cleanup days being on our calendar, on our weekly reports.
Yeah,
All the cleanup.
or just,
Yeah,
I
because
think it's out there.
what I've